What's up, VC? Boys and girls, people around the world, YouTubers, trolls. This is Bobby with Spitting the Truth About Records. And today's video will be about colored vinyl extravaganza. I'm not going to be putting in the colored vinyls, from modern days. This is going to be from the 70s and 80s. For those of you who just started collecting these last few years, yes, guys, they had colored vinyl in the 60s and 70s. It isn't something that they just came up with. But for those that watch me, you already know how I like to get down. I like to get down with the featured record of the day. Today, the featured record of the day just happens to be Gato Barbieri, Bolivia. This guy does not get enough love in the jazz community, and he should. This is RCA pressing, but it was originally released off the Flying Dutchman label. The track off this one is Niños. See the Flying Dutchman? This guy can blow. I mean, incredible. This record is also slept on because most of them, the people that are into Gato have, Cayete, Ruby, but Bolivia. Pick this one up and listen to the track Niños. It'll blow your mind. But before we get started, guys, also, if you like the content, please hit the ninja in the corner. Yes, I got a ninja in there. That's my watermark. Hit that and it'll help you subscribe, help my channel to grow. But starting things off with obvious back in the day, the Beatles. The 62 to 66. This was the greatest hits. And they released all of these in the UK on red vinyl. Now, the 62 to 66, for those who don't know, is the Beatles' earlier stuff. Like Love Me Do, I Want to Hold Your Hand, all that wonderful stuff. Hard Day's Night, Ticket to Ride. They also did it on the 67 to 70, the other stuff like Sgt. Pepper's, Strawberry Fields, Magical Mystery Tour, all that stuff. And they issued it on blue vinyl. The 67 to 70 came on a blue vinyl in the US and the UK. Now, these are the US copies. So yes, they have been issuing beautiful blue vinyl and beautiful colored vinyl for years. This, not much to say about it. I mean, it's a classic, Beatles, 67 to 70. But it's on colored vinyl, and today's episode is about cool colored vinyl from the 70s and 80s, and that's what we are talking about. Got another one here to show you in a little bit. Elvis's Moody Blue, another classic Elvis record, issued on blue vinyl. Guys, if you want to pick this one up, this one can be picked up for like $4 to $5 in like mint condition. Nobody gives a crap about this one. Elvis, Moody Blues. And all these records that are picked up on, the colored vinyl are pretty cool and can be had. Some of them are a little more difficult to get ELOs out of the blue. This one's getting a little harder to get. This is the UK on a beautiful blue vinyl with the Allen in the dead wax. This one's cool. It's getting more into the, $35 to, $60 range, depending on where you get it from. For those who aren't familiar with the ELOs out of the blue, great record. It's like one of the classics. And picking it up on blue vinyl is great, just from a collector's standpoint. Out of the blue. Next up, J. Geils Band, Bloodshot. Another underrated album by J. Geils Band. Now, most people talk about the Freeze Frame and Love Stinks, but this was before that. Red vinyl, Bloodshot. This is another one. You can pick this one up for like $10 in mint condition, and you can be dancing on the ceiling and dancing on the floor and having nothing but a party. That's my favorite song off this one. It's called Nothing But a Party, but this record also shouldn't be slept on. J. Geils Band, Bloodshot, on super red vinyl. Next up, speaking of, we've been hearing a lot about these boys, the Steely Dan, Can't Buy a Thrill. Now in Canada in the 70s and 80s, These cats issued a lot of stuff. This is the one on yellow vinyl. It doesn't sound too bad, but it's not the best sounding pressing of Steely Dan's Can't Buy a Thrill. These are starting to climb up there. Before you used to be able to get these for 25 to 30 bucks in, mint condition. Now they're starting to climb up there and get into the $60 range. But if you still peak, you might be able to find somebody you can get it for 25 bucks. Next up, more Steely Dan. Steely Dan's Asia. Like I said, in Canada, they did a lot of colored vinyl extravaganza, which is good for this video. On red vinyl. I was reading through the forums and stuff, and some dude actually said the red one was one of the best sounding versions of Asia. It is not. Do not listen to that guy. But from a collector's standpoint, to have Asia on red vinyl is pretty cool to me. And that's why I have it. Had it for years. Next up, Rolling Stones, Through the Past Darkly, Holland pressing. This one is a late 70s issued on green vinyl. It's pretty cool. Can be picked up in the $20 range. It's nice to have a Stones on green vinyl. A vintage pressing, not a modern one. All analog on green vinyl. Why not? You can get them for around 15 to 20 bucks, so hop on that if you still want to get them. Al Green's Let's Stay Together. I think this was in the late 80s when they issued this one. Maybe some into the 90s too. 90s, I think. Early 90s. But it's Let's Stay Together on green vinyl. They also did I'm Still in Love with You on green also. Once again, not the best sounding copy, but from a colored vinyl extravaganza. It's cool to have and cool to own on this. Al Green, Let's Stay Together. Next up, classic Grand Funk, We're an American Band. Now, this is actually one of the exceptions. Yeah, I'm not going to show you what's in there because there's just a bunch of naked hippies sitting in a barn. Yes, I'm not making that up. On yellow vinyl. Actually, there are a lot of people that say that this one is the best sounding version of We're an American Band. And I have a couple of these copies, and they're not wrong. They sound pretty damn good, and some of the vinyl is even quieter than the regular black. And these can be picked up for peanuts. Grand Funk, We're an American Band, gold. Another record you can pick up for cheap. Next up, classic big. Eagles, Hotel California. No, this is not a current pressing, or this is a vintage pressing, because we're only talking about vintage 70s, 80s, maybe early 90s. Green vinyl, Preston Holland. Eagles, Hotel California. These ones are starting to get up there, I believe, in price. If you're overseas, then you can probably get them cheaper. But if you're in the U.S., it's probably going to be a $40 record with shipping. But it's still cool to have on wax. Eagles, Hotel California on green vinyl. Next up, another favorite of mine, Bobby Caldwell, self-titled. This one is another tough one to find on yellow vinyl. This, just in general, is an expensive album because everyone loves the song What You Won't Do for Love. And the colored vinyl version is even more rare, but it's cool to pick up. Now, a record that I wanted to show you guys that is colored vinyl, but it is modern colored vinyl that I think you guys should all check out. It's newer. Bernie Worrell, All the Woo in the World. This is the Music on Vinyl recent one. This you can pick up for dirt cheap. And it's on Music on Vinyl special. On red vinyl, this is going to be the only modern colored vinyl I'm going to show. And the only reason I'm showing it is just because this is the last record I'm going to show you for today. For those that aren't hip to, Bernie Worrell, he was tied in with Parliament Funkadelic. He was tied in with a lot of the funk bands of the 70s. This was when he branched out and did his solo stuff. He even has Bootsy playing on this one, and a lot of the members of the P-Funk band on this record. Like I said, the music on vinyl version, as far as the sound quality goes, does not beat my original pressing. But it's not bad. And like I said, for 20 bucks, you can go on Walmart.com right now and get this shipped to your house for $21. And this is pretty cool. If you like funk music and you like that stuff, this is for you. But that's all I got for you guys. Hope to make another video soon. But for now, that's all I have, guys. Deuces.